Hey, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Trade the Chain. It is Tuesday, August 2nd. Thank you for joining us as always. And don't forget to smack that like button if you could for us. It'd be great. Um, today's an interesting day. I know that, Nick and I have been pulling off some trades today that have been pretty successful. The market has had a few telltale signs in it, as opposed to some of the crazy volatility crap that we've been dealing with the last couple of days. So that's been good. We're in better moods today for sure. But let's hit the markets real quick before we let Nick into our discussion here with the charts. We got total market cap of crypto just as it was yesterday during the show, a couple 100,000 higher, but 1.08 trillion. 51 out of 100, almost spot on neutral sentiment. Bitcoin down to 23,202 off the 24,000 highs we were enjoying before, but still up 1% for the 24 hours and a neutral sentiment of 47 out of 100. We have some interesting action going on with the socials. The hottest over the last 24 hours, we got Revain up 1,279%. Price staying about par, though. We have Fetch, FET, up to 2.4% and 275% more social action than usual. As well as AMP, and we mentioned AMP yesterday being delisted by Binance US based on the SEC considering it a security, down 4.25% in price, and ApeCoin coming in number 8 there, up 4.6% with 159% more action on social. ApeCoin, there was an ad out today. I don't know if you saw it, Nick, with Gucci now accepting ApeCoin.
So the story goes, so they actually deleted that original tweet that actually mentioned ApeCoin. I think they tagged it, but I think through BitPay you can still pay through ApeCoin. But it's like not a direct ApeCoin. It's not like it's not like you hand over your MetaMask and like straight up pay an ApeCoin. Like you have to still go through BitPay, I believe. But yeah, ApeCoin is now acceptable through select Gucci stores, allegedly. So,
well, I love the way they singled out ApeCoin on that, because you're right. It's a payment processor. They were alluding to that they now accept crypto, right? So we could say we could sign up a new crypto or a new payment processor for Trade the Chain and say, hey, we're now accepting euros. When in truth, we'll accept any currency they process.
yep.
But I like the fact they singled out ApeCoin. It gave a little cheer to the day that a specific crypto was mentioned.
It's definitely smart marketing, because you have to think, like, I mean, although if you look at the entire NFT market, certainly there's some attracted, Gucci attractiveness from that populace, but the ape community, if you've ever been to an ape event or an NFT event, there is Gucci satchels and Gucci shirts galore. So they definitely hit their target market well there, I think.
Didn't they have like ApeCon or something at the last NFT
Yes.
NYC?
Yeah, like Future played. I think Future rapped. Amy Schumer did a stand-up, which is just funny in itself. Because I think even the apes that were there were like making fun of themselves for even watching Amy Schumer. So that was funny. But yeah, they definitely play to that crowd, certainly.
That's funny. Nonetheless, it does pick up the 8th spot for all that good advertising from Gucci today. Most bullish coins on the daily sentiment: Rev, FET, XHV, Seller, and Ape. Most bearish, AMP coming in number 1 again on that delisting. We have Band, we have Cream in there, and GRT. Well, on the macro side, we got everybody down slightly for the hour, but I'll tell you, if we'd looked at this last hour, we would have had everybody slightly up, particularly Ethereum, which was the play we made. We had hourly sentiment skyrocket right over here. I put out a tweet earlier showing entry and exit points on the scalp trade, which both Nick and I did profitably, and it was a nice play. I'm really happy about that. It was easy today.
Yeah, no, it was. I mean, if you look at the news cycle, which we might as well just start going over now. So, I mean, there was a litany of interesting things going on. Last night, there was a hack which we're going to cover today. This morning was the entire globe, it seemed, was fixated on the successful landing of Nancy Pelosi's plane, which is right here. And so I think I had a tweet about it. No, that was all Nomad related. But basically, so if you take a step back, and I do understand the silliness of trading off of Pelosi successfully landing, but disregard Pelosi being who she is and the meme that she is now, and disregard all politics aside, and just think about it from a true macro perspective. China was threatening a sitting congressperson and basically trying to deter her from landing in what is still an independent nation from the lens of the civilized world. So when you think about it from that perspective, it's basically China it basically said that they were going to commit an act of war against the United States and more or less prep themselves to do it. So if Pelosi didn't successfully land, if there was an issue that was caused by China, that's literally World War III, unfolding before our eyes. So even though it sounds absurd, like that's the literal story. So the whole world was more or less captivated by this, this happening. And since she landed successfully, crisis averted. Now we can move higher, and that's more or less why we moved up fundamentally. But if we also look at it from a technical perspective, and this is something that I have mentioned multiple times, both on this show and the Daily Show, as well as in the Trade the Chain community, because we don't talk about things until they go to our community first with actionable data. My RSI hourly trend system has been working quite well to perfection. So broke above that downtrend, nice little spike. Ethereum broke above the downtrend, fantastic spike. Solana broke above the downtrend, fantastic spike. And of course, Solana has a high beta compared to Bitcoin and Ethereum, meaning it moves at a higher volatility compared to Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin's moving 0.5%, if Solana is moving anywhere from 1.5% to 3%. And that's exactly what we saw today. So fantastic trades, and I can't stress this enough. If you're watching and you're not in the Trade the Chain community, you quite literally would never have known about these trades because, they go in the Trade the Chain community first. So I'm very glad that both you and I, Alex, were able to make some money on this. And I know some other Trade the Chain members were as well. So bingo, bongo, let's play Congo. We are moving in a line. So very happy there. You're on mute.
I said, did you just have a Kramer moment?
Yeah, no, it's funny. My mom texted me this morning, and it was like she loves to say that saying, so it just kind of popped in my head. Cool. But I think what also, just to quickly follow up, what sold us off on or what was timed with the sell-off. I mean, if you were watching the Daily Show, I kind of predicted a 50% sell-off at least. That was something that I was thinking about entering on. But the news right now is, and of course, if you remember what we've been saying day over day, is there's a gap of Fed information. So we don't, there's not going to be an interest rate increase or decrease or any decision until September. But we're going to be leaked information between them. And so we have a Fed governor basically saying, I mean, this is pretty impactful news. Inflation has not decreased at all. If you're trading the federal funds rate trade, you're trading that because you think inflation has topped, meaning the Fed is not going to have to exacerbate the rising of the federal funds rate to then tamp down inflation. So if we have a Fed governor saying inflation has not decreased at all, then what does that say about our prediction in relation to the federal funds rate? They also followed up with, I have not seen any evidence that inflation has begun to level off. Now, I mean, we know for a fact that they're not wrong. They are right. We've been saying that for quite some time, but we're trading the narrative. We're trading the data and the information that we've been given. We've been given a gap in terms of information in relation to inflation topping and the federal funds rate being smoothed over. Now we're starting to hear a bit of a different story. And we literally discussed this yesterday, Alex, and I said that eventually, the market's going to realize that none of this shit is fixed. and it's going to eventually go back down to recent lows, or at least feel some more pain. And now we're beginning to see that narrative. Now it's one Fed governor, and we don't hear a lot from Mester anyway. So I don't think the market's going to take that with the full brunt of if Jerome Powell said it, but the narrative begins, and I think that's something to take note of.
Why do you think we don't hear enough a lot from Hester?
So this is Mester, but and I think there is a Hester. Isn't there a Hester?
Oh, there's the old Hester Pierce.
Hester Pierce, yes. Okay, there you go.
Hester Pierce.
So I'm not entirely sure. I will admit that I am not. The market is big, and there's literally teams that track these things. But so I'll admit that I do not know enough about each individual Fed governor, but I do know from tracking this situation for the past 6 months very acutely that we do not hear from Mester very often. So it is both interesting in the sense that Fed governor is piping up, and it's also interesting in the sense of how much do we measure their impact in the market. And I think that's what the market's trying to do right now.
How do you spell Mester?
Measure that impact. Mester?
Yeah.
Mester, I think.
Okay. All right.
Look at S&P right now.
S&P is
I mean, that's
S&P is doing exactly what I wanted to do if I was in a long position right now.
That's an ugly Head and Shoulders. Like I have a feeling this cranks down. I would be shocked if this doesn't reach the POC by the end of the trading session today.
Why don't you tell the folks what news has happened over the last hour or two? Did we discuss that already? We didn't discuss that already, did we?
Well, the big news in the past hour or two was the inflation story. The story yesterday was the hack news.
Well, let's go to the hack news real quick because I'm always, we had too much of a quiet period. But basically, unless you sleep under a rock, everybody at this point knows that the crypto bridge Nomad was hacked for nearly $200 million yesterday. And it wasn't your ordinary hack. It wasn't like somebody came in, hacked the code, took the money. It was like, I don't. What did I say in the title? I didn't like it. Was like a gangbang or something. I don't know.
I mean, it kind of was. I mean, it was very much.
I think it was 80 people. I think they counted as 80 people who stole the money in a decentralized crowdfunding robbery.
I literally saw, it was funny because REFUND Capital was trending on TTC and their name was in the exploit. Like someone used the deployer, the REFUND Capital deployer to exploit the bridge.
Really?
Yeah, because the story goes with the bridge. This hack was especially weird because typically if you're a hacker, you find one, entry point, and then you start siphoning, or you do one giant transaction. That's kind of what happened with Axie Infinity. But in this case, as soon as people realized, because it was public information, they saw the contract, or they saw what was being deployed to the contract. So everybody else started basically copying and pasting command. So the first guy made out like a bandit, and then other people started withdrawing anywhere from I saw 0.01 to hundreds of.
This was a copy paste job.
It more or less was. I mean, it's not that simplistic, but yeah, it was more or less. It was very close. Yes.
Why didn't somebody text me?
Because the FBI would be freaking at my door in 5 minutes.
I can do copy paste, no problem.
Well, the crazy thing is people were doing it, and you have to think probably some very there were probably some people that weren't entirely nefarious that probably got, hey, you just think about it in a Discord, hey, free money, type this command in here.
Well, okay. That's what I heard. I heard there's that there's a possibility that a bunch of white hats went in there, and once they heard about it and started taking the money out in order to protect the money, meaning that they took it out in order to give it back so other people wouldn't just steal it. So not sure. Hopefully that is the case. I know we have a mutual friend that unfortunately lost a few seven figures in that hack, and it's never pleasant. I never wish it on anybody. As the great haired Ryan Gorman says, he wouldn't wish his enemy to lose money, and I feel the same way. So I'm really sorry for those folks. Another thing is, if anybody follows me on Twitter, is I have a narrative going with crypto regulation and how impactful it's going to be on the market. You could literally, I think I've put out 5 tweets over the last 2 days, quoting my original tweet. Here we go. I mean, we have Robinhood's crypto division fined 30 million by the NYDFS. And the NYDFS came in and said there wasn't enough people. There was not enough employees in the in this group within Robinhood. I don't know if this is just, is there like a war going on, Nick? I mean, do you think that because of all the bad stuff that's happened with the market collapse, because it had to do a lot with actors in the space and bad risk management, are they just coming after everybody now? We saw the other day, and I wasn't going to put on the show because I know a lot of people covered it within the community, but Texas Securities Division filed a paperwork with the bankruptcy court pertaining to Voyager, and we know that Texas was been after BlockFi's, Celsius's, the Voyagers of the world, as well as New Jersey. Those 2 state regulators seem to really be almost a testing ground for the SEC on the state level to see what sticks. But do you think the regulators are just coming down? I mean, I do. I feel that is my most bearish call for the rest of the year, is people just getting hurt with this.
Yeah, no, I think the SEC is tired of the slander. I mean, they've been getting torn up, both online. I mean, there's not a single person who supports their progress, if you even want to call it that, over the past few years. I have not seen. There's no one sitting in Congress. There's no one sitting on our side. I don't think anyone is happy with them in any way, shape, or form in how they're handling the industry and their approach. So I think I think you're right. I mean, it's either you walk away a loser, or you go scorched earth, right?
Yeah, and I think we're going scorched earth here.
Yeah, I think that's the only way you handle a detriment to your personal or business brand, right? You either go full on and hammer away the problems, or you continue to deal with the problems and just change leadership. Yep. And so I have a feeling that Gensler's not going to walk away, because he seems like he doesn't seem like hardline, but he definitely doesn't seem like he's going to be a pushover in this scenario. So, you know, he like, what's the best way to describe him as a human? He's like the guy at the party who definitely won't say a word for like a couple hours, but you get him on that one little, you give him one little window of opportunity, and then he'll ruin everybody's fun. Like he'll start coming into the party and just doing the chicken wing dance and playing karaoke when it's just not the right time. So I have a feeling he's going to do that because he didn't do anything for 2 months at the party. Now he's going to come in and ruin the party. But at the end of the day, I think it's a good thing long term, because regulation is going to create ways for the industry to grow at a steady pace.
It's a slippery slope. We'll see. I don't ever like to comment too deeply into the government's handling of their process, because just in case I go missing one day, I want everybody to know it wasn't me who went missing voluntarily. That being said, this is interesting news. 0.72 Stevie Cohen exits investment. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with multi-billionaire Steve Cohen, from out of Stamford, Connecticut, there with 0.72. Huge hedge fund manager for the last, it's been since the mid 90s now. And he had entered into a couple different crypto investments with his ventures arm last year. And a lot of people took that as a sign as, hey, TradFi people are waking up, look at the boomers, they're coming in. But now he's left one of those investments, a particularly meaningful one in his portfolio. Obviously, for business sake, I think it's probably an ROI issue. But all the same, Nick, do you think we'll see more of the TradFi big guns leaving? And I'm not saying leaving because they don't believe necessarily, but leaving because it is obviously, if they're down investment, they're going to cut their losses at a certain rate. But at the same time, I think the average retail investor sees it as negative sentiment, which I don't agree with. But
so I mean, just to remind everybody, you know, we are in a recession. That's typically when investors will begin to assess the success and viability of their investments and either refactor or continue to support them. And I think, you know, they did make the immediate note here is that, you know, one of several Cohen-backed crypto ventures. So he's not exiting the industry. He's probably just removing himself from a bad bet. And if you're an investor, you don't hit 100%. You know, you're lucky if you hit, you know, 10%, but that 10 will, you know, very much cover the 90% of losses. And so, you know, that's typically how we approach things. Now, if the headline was Steve Cohen exits all crypto firms, then I'd be like, okay, now what's going on? But this is natural. You know, even in the bull market, we saw certain companies fail. So of course, we're going to see companies fail. Now, what you need to look deeper into is, you know, are these investors withdrawing from, you know, many investments? B, you know, what did the balance sheet look like for this company and what services were they offering? And, you know, is the company now going defunct or is Steve Cohen just walking away? Because the parts 2 and 3, you know, equates to liquidations of assets, which if sizable enough can have market impact. So that's how I look at it is A, you know, are these people leaving completely? And then B, is the company going bankrupt and having to liquidate assets, because both of those would likely have both a sentiment and a technical aspect or technical impact on the market.
No, that's true. Don't forget, he still has his good neighbor and friend there, Paul Tudor Jones in Greenwich, Connecticut, who is, you know, who still owns. We haven't heard any news of Paul Tudor Jones exiting his Bitcoin position. So that's always good. Real quickly, let's see. I want to just get in here. You know, this is Nick's having a little competition with me today, and I think he's winning actually. So
I think barely. I just pulled ahead a little bit.
now you're making me pull the trigger before, you know, cocktail time today, just to like got a couple more points while you celebrate your birthday. So you won't be behind the screen too much later on. Everybody, it's Nick's birthday today. Give him a big happy birthday if you could. I've known Nick for years. He's a good dude, and he's a solid team member of Trade the Chain here. But here's what happened earlier today. You could see right around the late 10 o'clock hour, we both actually made entries into Ethereum, and you know, we had sentiment that was just going up and up and up, and price was doing the same. So we both spoke to each other a little close to the exit point there, and we decided that we had enough. We were gonna, you know, Nick had set a target, and I hadn't set a target, but Nick had properly set a target that he wanted to reach. He surpassed it. We discussed it. We said, you know something, listen, if it doesn't matter, we're going to leave a little money on the table, which we did. You can see that price go up afterwards. But we walked out with profits. This trade, as you can see right next to the circle, 23.09% today. It was an easy 1 hour position. But you know, this is the whole point of community and talking to people. We were in Discord, TTC Discord as well, and chatting with the members there. So good one, Nick. Nice birthday present for yourself.
Yeah, very nice. And thank you everybody in the chat for the happy birthday wishes. I very much appreciate all of you. And very much love to provide the data analysis that we do day in and day out. So very, very glad that it helps. And just to follow up from your quick, you know, your trade analysis and why we closed early, because we definitely did leave a bit on the table. And it's just with these markets, with, you know, I mean, literally the trade today was no World War III. I mean, just think about that trade today. It was World War III was avoided. And so we made 10%. You know, I'm not going to overextend that and ask for too much there. I mean, just think about the thought of what we just made money on. So
we closed the position when we heard her wheels touch down.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, literally. I mean, it was, the trading that doesn't make me happy, and I'm glad that the lock in the profits, but also just to reiterate, for trades like that, what I typically did, and I told the Trade the Chain community, is I take 50%, I let it ride. And I actually let it ride a little bit for a couple, percentage points higher before closing. But that's typically the best way to approach these kinds of trades. If you're expecting, a strong move, take your profit at a nice significant point, so you lock it in. If it drops down a little bit, then you can set a stop and close out, or you can capitalize on the rest of the trade. So I did that a bit today, but I still fully closed out early. But at the end of the day, price did still fall another 20-30% from the little mini trade that we had today. So that's why you lock in these things, and that's why you do what you do, because Alex and I have had plenty of experiences where it's going lower, it's going lower, it's going higher, it's going higher. And then we messaged each other in the morning. We're like, oh, the whole trade, went to crap because we were in it too long. So we're not going to make those mistakes again, and neither do we want anyone else to.
Absolutely. Thanks for wishing him a happy birthday, everybody in the chat. Phoenix, for your birthday, we're going to get you an alarm clock so you're not late anymore. If you haven't already, I say this every episode, head over to the Trade the Chain YouTube channel and please hit the subscribe notification button. Nick is on there every day giving a daily show, very short one, midday. And it's full of news. It's full of information nuggets that you really need to do if you're an active participant in the market. We DCA, we midterm invest, as well as we do our scalp trading on the intraday chart. So love you guys for showing up. Thank you so much. And we will see you again. Are we Thursday?
Tomorrow. Well, we have our tomorrow. Well, members will see us tomorrow.
Yeah, we have our members AMA, but Nick will still do the daily show. We have our members AMA, so I think I'll be back over here with Nick on Thursday. Really appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you around.
Go
ahead.
We have a new website is coming.
We do have it's up. The new website is up. Yeah.
Oh, it is. Okay, yeah, new website's up. So I didn't know if it was today or tomorrow. So go check out the shiny new website.
People think we don't do anything all day long. We work long days. We didn't build the website ourselves, though. We got a good dev partnership. So check it out, folks. We'll see you again on Thursday, and Nick will see you tomorrow on his daily show.